POCO has made a name for itself as a great brand people can come to for performance without breaking the bank. That is still the case with their latest smartphone that I have been using for a little while now, and this has been my companion for a long trip to see its proper unveiling. True to the new name of POCO's flagship, this definitely reaches some ultra levels of bang for buck potential. Hey, it's Joshua Vergara. What's going on, everybody? This right here is the POCO F7 Ultra. A big thanks to POCO for bringing me out for their event in Singapore and for partnering with me on this video. Their latest F-series phones arrived a little over a week ago, and true to POCO fashion, they have been a stylish way for me to get some powerful gaming done while still providing everything I need for my daily tasks. There has always been a certain hallmark from the F-series phones from POCO, the ability to bring the right specs and the right performance for an even better price point. But what exactly makes this phone worthy of the Ultra name? Well, I've been exploring that leading up to the actual launch of the phone, which is where I am now in Singapore. And as such, I'm going to go ahead and do this video in a bit of a hybrid fashion. I am going to give you my favorite features of this phone, with the trip providing the backdrop, much like my day one videos. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the POCO F7 Ultra was my tool for passing the time on the super long flight here, mainly as a way to come back to some of the games from the Play Store that I still have left unfinished, like Final Fantasy VI. The Pixel remaster looks really nice and vivid on the 2K AMOLED display that does also pump out 120Hz refresh rate. Now that last point, the refresh rate, is something that we will dive into a lot more later, as the POCO F7 Ultra does have a really nice trick up its sleeve. Upon arrival in Singapore, however, the first thing anyone should do is get some great food, and that's exactly what the girlfriend and I do by heading to one of the iconic hawker centers that actually converts into a barbecue skewer lover's paradise in the late hours, called Satay Street. Enjoy some looks at the really cool vibes in one of my favorite places to eat in the city. More thoughts on these cameras are coming later as well, but let me know what you think of the picture and video quality already in the comments down below. Now, the next morning was actually the start of the itinerary that POCO had for us for this event, though a late night out just after a super long jet lag inducing flight made it really hard to have a proper nighttime routine. Because of that, I had woken up with less battery life to start the day than I would ever prefer. That is to say, I just didn't plug in before I knocked out that night. But that's where one of my favorite features of the phone comes in, with 120-watt fast wired charging coming to the rescue like it always does. This is a feature that I really wish we had more of across the smartphone market, because it's just practical for situations like this. The time it takes for me to get ready in the morning is enough for the phone to get charged up easily, while the other phones like the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, another phone with the Ultra name in it, quite literally lags behind with its charging speeds that are less than half the speed of the POCO. And at a time when I have so many chargers and cables in my bags, the fast chargers for phones like the POCO F7 Ultra have a permanent spot in my travel bag for this very reason. And the last thing that is great about this charging capability, well, you saw it earlier, you can do it right out of the box because the charger comes in the box. This hotel already knows what I like. A nice kettle for making water for my tea. All right, thumbs up already. The time that it takes for me to get the phone charged up was also a perfect amount of time for me to make my tea for the day. And with that, we are teed up and actually charged up, thanks to the fast charging of the POCO F7 Ultra. One of the best features of a phone like this, trust me. We then head out for a tour of some of the best things Singapore has to offer, and of course that has to include the Gardens by the Bay. One of the largest and most scenic botanical gardens that I've ever been in has two huge domes that house a mix of imported plant life and some of the country's most photogenic installations, located right next to the Marina Bay Sands. We start off in the flower dome, where the colors of the flowers are getting captured by the cameras of the POCO F7 Ultra, which itself is quite the looker in the color that I received it. Later we'll head to the cloud forest, but it's all about aesthetically pleasing sights. And speaking of aesthetically pleasing, that's the other thing I really like about the POCO F7 Ultra. This aesthetically pleasing phone, I mean, you're going to make a fan out of me already when you have black and yellow as part of your brand identity, and that's exactly what POCO has done. It shows on this new smartphone. The other thing I have to do in terms of aesthetically pleasing sights is capture them, and we're going to talk about those cameras a little bit more in a bit. Yes, the F7 Ultra is quite the looker, but it also has a great feel because this Ultra device just isn't that difficult to wield. That display still provides a lot of good real estate for games like Marvel Snap and Genshin Impact, and it's great to watch all of my YouTube videos on. But it's also not so large that the rest of the phone just becomes a chore to navigate around. One-handed usage does require some hand gymnastics from time to time, but it's certainly nothing to the level of other flagships that go big or go super lumpy in my pocket. And yes, I appreciate the yellow colorway, but there's also this matted feel on the backing that includes some flourishes in the design up around the camera module, which then itself is encased in an aerospace-grade aluminum ring. Props goes to POCO for really leaning into the Ultra moniker with their build quality too. It's easy to think that more budget-friendly smartphones will feel a certain way, but POCO has been putting out great phones lately with streamlined designs and a confidently thin design language that makes them feel more premium than you might expect from the price point. It's flashy but practical, slim but powerful, minimal but ultra. Obviously we're on this tour with everybody, so everyone's getting their pictures and their videos done. It's always fun. How do you feel being on a tour with us tech people?
I feel like I'm in a sandwich, everywhere I step, I'm in something else.
Finally made it into the cloud forest where there is this huge waterfall here. It's a great look. Also, getting a little wet, but that's okay because the phone actually has IP68 water and dust resistance. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit right now and actually talk about that Ultra performance. POCO in the F7 Ultra is looking to address one of the nuances that Android gamers tend to contend with, and that is the frame rate settings in games like Genshin Impact. Now, we know that there are games in the Play Store that can actually take advantage of the 120Hz refresh rate that displays like this can provide, but there are also a ton of other games that cap out at 60 FPS. What POCO have done in this phone is add a dedicated chip aside from the already expected power of the Snapdragon 8 Elite with the Vision Boost D7. This extra chip takes care of some of the rendering in games so that proper HDR, even higher super resolution, and 120 frames can actually be achieved in games that wouldn't already support it. Achieving that 120 frames per second basically uses frame generation, and the result is an even smoother gameplay experience that looks super smooth and super crisp. Now, the example of a game that gets enhanced by this is obviously Genshin Impact, a classic game that at this point has always been relegated to 60 frames max. Now, even smoother gameplay can be achieved thanks to the combination of these two chips, which together POCO calls the Wild Boost Optimization 4.0. The result is a better gaming experience that can go beyond the perceived limitations that the game presents in its settings menus and that other phones like the Galaxy S25 Ultra cannot provide without the help of a dedicated chip for frame generation like this. All of this and the fact that Genshin Impact finally supports controllers on Android makes me want to dive back into Tevat and catch back up with my gameplay. But all of the benefits of the Wild Boost optimization also goes over to other games, like for example my usual addiction of Marvel Snap, and classic games that I decided to play on the plane like GTA San Andreas. I've played these games with the smart frame rate turned on, and while it might be a little hard for me to actually show it off effectively on camera like this, given how frame rates work, I can definitely see and feel the difference myself. So with that, the POCO F7 Ultra is a pretty compelling choice for the gamer, but there's plenty to love beyond the gaming side as well. And that comes down to these cameras, which have always been one of the areas where POCO smartphones may have somewhat lagged behind in the past. But in the F7 Ultra, photogs are in for a treat because the triple camera setup here has been given a big boost. And you've been seeing it already in this video that I've been using it to great effect for all of the places we've been going to around Singapore. The main camera is a 50 megapixel shooter that provides a reliable way to get photos and videos captured with great quality because the sensor is actually similar to ones that we have found in flagships from Xiaomi. It is certainly the camera that you would prioritize for daily capture, but the other lenses got some upgrades as well that make them very practical for all different scenarios. The ultra-wide camera is a 32 megapixel shooter now and provides a good way of getting some great dramatic shots of your surroundings. One thing to keep in mind, however, is that the front-facing camera and the ultra-wide here on the POCO F7 Ultra do not do 4K video recording. Now here's the part of the cloud forest that I really enjoy. This really high walkway where you can see everything down below. It's a great opportunity to actually use the ultra-wide camera on here, mainly for pictures. Like I said before, no 4K video recording, but at that 32 megapixels, you can get some really awesome wide shots of just everything that is around us. I realize a good chunk of this video is almost like a guide to tourism here in Singapore, but the aquarium is one of the best things that you can do. It's like one of the biggest aquariums in the world. That being said, it's probably one of the last stops as far as the camera portion of this video is concerned. Just getting pictures from a bunch of different scenarios. Of course, we had the luge earlier that I wasn't able to show because safety first. Before that, we had the gardens by the bay. Now, of course, the aquarium. Yeah, the cameras have been doing a really good job so far. You just have to pick which of the lenses is best for your scenario, for your various use case. Main sensor, obviously a good one. Ultra wide is really great for the pictures to get more of your surroundings in the shot. And then of course that floating telephoto, probably one of my more favorite shooting scenarios when it comes to the POCO F7 Ultra. But yes, it's that telephoto that was really impressing me on this phone because it is a floating telephoto lens. That means the far-reaching focal lengths, which work well for portraits and the portrait mode, can also be used as a telemacro shooter, making it easier to get closer to the finer details of any subjects. You've seen some of those shots already in the flower dome at the Gardens by the Bay, and now here are some of those again, including some videos because that lens can also be used for telemacro in video modes as well. The floating telephoto also provides some good shallow depth of field, making it a great way to capture some cinematic footage with a bit of foreground for a stylish look. Having cameras that can achieve some great shots like these is seriously impressive, considering this is still a pretty affordable phone compared to other devices that bear the Ultra name. These are certainly the most powerful cameras that POCO have put in any of their smartphones, and it might be the most potent example of how much more Ultra their latest and greatest has become. One thing I will say, this is not going to be a really comprehensive battery test on the POCO F7 Ultra, mainly because I've just been using the phone as a camera all day. I actually haven't been using it. I haven't needed to navigate anywhere or to look anything up, maybe once or twice here and there. But even then, with the camera being at like 86% of my usage today, battery's down to 60% and we've been out pretty much all day. So I'm gonna call that pretty impressive. After all, you can cater the battery usage and the battery modes in the settings. This is HyperOS after all, so you can go ultra durability or ultra battery saver or just regular battery saver if you need it. But ultimately, it's all about the overall package and how far POCO has come to provide this combination of high-powered specifications in one sleek-looking and feeling smartphone. Which is why I call this a real bang-for-buck situation, since the high spec of the POCO F7 Ultra comes in at under $700. For those who want great performance out of a smartphone for work and play, but still want to have a capable camera for capturing all of their memories with the quality to match the moment, the POCO F7 Ultra feels like a bit of a steal. And it's all within a package that doesn't ask too much of you to get around its build and its quirks. Seriously, I can't remember the last time I used a phone that called itself Ultra, and not only was it easy to use one-handed while multitasking and all that, but it also had very few, if any, features that I just ended up never using. And finally, it all comes together in a stylish look, especially if you get this yellow one, that serves as one of POCO's most compelling offerings yet. And so, there you have it, my favorite features and a bit of a day one video so we can take a look at the cameras on the POCO F7 Ultra. This is simply a dope package that you don't have to shell out an arm and a leg for, and most of the features that make the POCO smartphones quite unique also propel it into a realm of an ultra hybrid for fun and productivity. So, let me know what you think of this latest release from POCO in the comments, and to check the phone out for yourself, you can hit the links that I have also put into the description. From there though, I'm going to go ahead and call it on this one. Thank you so much for hanging out with me again today, this time in Singapore for the launch of the POCO F7 Ultra. Please take care of yourselves and each other and enjoy your tea, everybody.